Well, Peachy, I must admit, at first I was nervous about letting you help with the PSP hardware retrospective, but since part 1 was such a blast, I'm really glad that I did.
Oh yeah, no doubt for reals, my main man dog up in the house. The PSP is a blast. Call me a Sony pony all day, every day, if that's what that makes me.
Oh, I don't think you have to go that far. The PSP is held in high regard nowadays, though it still trails behind the DS.
Man, that is one shadow the PSP will be stuck in for life. When it comes to the library, you got me. The DS has tons more games to play. But Sony gave a really solid, if not the best that they could do, but a really solid try in supporting the PSP with software. And there's not a single game on both systems that's better on the DS. Not a one.
Hey now, them's console fighting words. Look, I'm not here today to discuss Nintendo's handhelds, but you have to respect the massive success of the DS, outselling the PSP nearly 2 to...
What was that?
Beats me, but I really have to disagree about the DS.
Go ahead, compare the PSP to it. Better visuals, audio, gameplay, tons of 3D games, multimedia, straight up movies, MP3.
I must make a confession. The PSP models we'll be discussing today are extremely similar, save for one. We'll be seeing much of what you are most likely expecting. Moderate changes meant to bolster the overall experience playing PSP games, while underused aspects become either combined with existing features or axed altogether. I really want to tell you what my favorite PSP model is, but I ain't supposed to say it until the next video. But I guess there's still plenty to talk about before then. Let the deep dive commence! Right, let's stick with analyzing these models. Going hands-on with the fat PSP 1000 model. The screen utilizes an LCD panel at 480 by 272 pixels at 4.3 inches. The controls feature directional buttons, which are just a tad smaller than those found on a PlayStation controller, smaller face buttons, a textured plastic analog slider, easily accessible home button, small but usable volume controls, display and audio buttons that are close together, and start and select buttons that are identical to the home button in terms of size and shape. I know you all love those LEDs, with the OG PSP sporting one each for memory stick duo access, wireless access, and power. There is a hold indicator that mirrors the wireless LED, but it's not an actual light. The speakers, set low on the front of the unit, do pump out enough volume, but the sound comes across as tinny. Over on the left, there is a switch that toggles the wireless capabilities on and off. Remember how just about everything with Wi-Fi used to have these, along with the memory stick duo slot. Along the back, we can see the UMD drive, accompanied by some nice-looking branding, next to the unremarkable battery compartment. Rotating right now, there's just the power/hold switch, with hold serving as a way to freeze button inputs while the PSP is on. A great way to play and control music with the remote control while the other inputs don't interfere with playback. Checking out the top now, we've got some large, clicky, premium-feeling shoulder buttons, an IR sensor, accessory ports, the USB mini port, and the UMD open slider. Lastly, the bottom has the hand strap attachment thingy, the audio jack combined with remote control port, and the charging port, which includes some contacts useful for the sold separately charging cradle. The fat PSP 1000 was very nice as Sony's first serious entry into the portable gaming market. The screen was very good for the time. High-definition screens were still on the horizon in 2004 for most people, and standard-definition DVDs were, believe it or not, the most pristine video one could expect in consumer electronics. The controls fell somewhere in between the original PlayStation's controller and the DualShock's analog control, as slippery as that slider might get, but you only get 2 shoulder buttons instead of 4. The stereo speakers did a good enough job if they are your only audio option, but I would recommend using headphones when possible. The multimedia purposes went beyond games, with movies, music, and pictures being major focuses on the cross-media bar, or XMB, and I personally used this as my first portable MP3 player with the then generously sized 1GB Memory Stick Pro Duo at launch. The included remote control was great for using it in the car, either through an aux cable or one of those cassette player adapters. This is easily the heaviest PSP model, meaning it can take a beating getting tossed around, but I wouldn't press your luck too much without a case. It also feels the most premium, which tends to go hand in hand with better build quality. If you've been paying attention to all these retrospectives, you'll know what to expect next. Gotta make it smaller, lighter, and most importantly, cheaper. The screen is still LCD with the same resolution and size, but it has been improved. The controls remain largely unchanged, although the directional buttons have been raised for easier controls. The 3+1 LEDs are also the same. And with the speakers being moved up above the controls, it's possible they align better with your ears, though the volume sounds about the same. Looking to the left side, the Memory Stick Duo slot has been moved up, while the wireless slider has been moved from this location. The back hasn't seen much change, except that the UMD drive opens manually now, and the battery compartment is smaller to house the smaller battery, though the lifespan remains the same. On to the right, the power/hold slider switch remains untouched. Up top, the shoulder buttons are only slightly smaller. Here's the new location of the manual WLAN switch, while the accessory slot and USB port are the same. The UMD open slider has been removed. Along the bottom is the same hand strap attachment, while the audio and remote control port has been moved over slightly and the charging contacts have been removed from the charging port. The slim PSP 2000 is indeed slimmer as well as lighter than the 1000 series model. The original weighed in at 9.9 ounces, with the slim weighing at 6.7 ounces. This does mean it feels a good bit cheaper, and finding the slim used these days in great condition is more difficult than the fat. While the original is still very much pocketable, there is a noticeable difference having the slim in one's pocket.
And no analog control? You gotta be kidding me! Don't give me none of that one touch at a time resistive touchscreen malarkey. That ain't analog control, son!
Have you just been ragging on the DS this entire time?
Well, yeah. That's what I thought we was doing. Makes the PSP look good by comparison, right?
This is something you have given way too much thought to.
You don't know the half of it. I have an entire album where each track is about a feature I hate about the DS. We reached 8 in total sales. Not too shabby.
Right. Next one up is the PSP 3000 Brite. Per the nickname, the screen has once again been improved, but this time, it's a far more noticeable improvement over the Slim's otherwise exact screen. For the controls, everything is exactly the same with two exceptions. The home button has been rebranded and relabeled the PlayStation button, and this button along with Start and Select all have a new oval-like shape. The LEDs are all the same, and the speakers are still just as loud as they have ever been, but these do sound just a tad clearer. Something completely new to point out is the built-in microphone in case you don't have an external mic plugged in. The left side is straight up unchanged from the Slim. The back sports a slimmer, sleeker metal ring around the PSP logo. You may scoff at that minor change, but it's the easiest way to spot this model in the wild. The right side has the same old power/hold switch. The top features all the same shoulder buttons, WLAN switch, and accessory slots paired with USB mini port. And the bottom's hand strap holder, audio and remote control port, and charging port are also same old, same old. In comparison, there's not much to say about the Brite PSP 3000 that can't also be said about the 2000 series. Identical dimensions and weight, just about all the features are the same, with some slight visual changes when considering the rebranding of the home button to the PlayStation button and the metallic ring on the back being trimmer. The standout differences would have to be the new screen and the built-in microphone. The microphone allows you to make Skype calls and speak in online games without a headset, but the screen is certainly the main feature here. Lastly, we have the PSP Go. This screen, which is still LCD and the same resolution, is now smaller at 3.8 inches and is part of 1/2 of the unit, which allows it to slide open. The screen also seems slightly better than the Brites. The LEDs have changed in drastic ways. We now have one for wireless, Bluetooth, memory stick, power, and the hold indicator is now only visible as part of the slider along the side, but the actual LEDs have all been moved around and enlarged. The speakers are a bit larger with a different shape and sound a very, very teeny bit louder. The PS button, much like the LEDs, has been resized, reshaped, and relocated. On the bottom half of the front lie the all-new controls. They have all been made smaller and recessed except the start and select buttons, which actually may be larger now, but they're still recessed. Looking at the left side, we've got the new memory stick micro port with a wireless slider brought back like it is on the fat PSP, and the hand strap loop has been shrunken down. Around back, there's just some logos. No UMD drive to be found. Around on the right, we still have the power/hold slider, but it's different from the other models. To the top now, which sports a new metallic pair of shoulder buttons. We can also see the new location for the display and audio buttons along with the volume controls, which are now a rocker instead of a pair of buttons. Bottoming out, we've only got a very normal looking headphone jack and the new proprietary multi-use port. This now serves as the one-stop shop for power, USB connection, cradle docking, and video out. The PSP Go is by far the most unique of any PSP model. Digital only was not really a concept used for consoles, let alone handheld game systems. The smaller, compact size does make this the most pocketable and portable of the PSPs, though having the system closed only protects the controls and leaves the screen completely vulnerable. Bluetooth is the best new feature, of course, allowing for wireless audio and use of a DualShock 3 controller if you'd like.
While the PSP knows me, feels me, kills me, revives me, the DS-er is lesser, a messer with no defense. Sir.
You've been rapping this entire second half of the video, haven't you?
You mean you haven't been listening to my tunes? I told you that album was one of my best sellers. No cap, dog? Feeling pretty dissed right about now.
I'm just trying to make some videos about video games. I have no idea where all these people are coming from, and I myself am completely blameless, yet somehow this all feels like it's my fault.
Because it is all your fault.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to keep on top of the videos, definitely take a sec to subscribe. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to follow me across the internet. Level 1 Sword also has a bi-weekly podcast, so give it a listen.